Hello students, today I'll begin a little differently by having some informal conversation with you. I do hope that all the lectures that you've heard up till now, you found them interesting, educating, enlightening, helping you to understand the story of modern architecture today. How architecture evolved, started from the 18th century, moved on to the 19th century, faced the upheaval of the Industrial Revolution, was greatly transformed by the modernist movement in the early 20th century, and then how many styles and movements came up in which many buildings were designed, and how in the 21st century technology is playing such a dominating role in the way we put our buildings together. But that does not mean that the creative instinct of the architect is being crushed, not at all. The architect is still very creative. We see that in the works of Calatrava, in the works of Zaha Hadid, that it is not that their creative instincts have been crushed by technology, rather they have taken technology and that technology has enabled them to make those amazing forms. Today I start with you on another section called Places to Move. This is part 1. In this I'll talk to you about railway stations. In part 2, it's obvious I'll talk to you about airports. I wish I had more time. I could have talked to you about seaports. I could have even talked to you about bus stations, but as of now we limit ourselves to railway stations and airports. Railway stations are familiar to all of us. We use them. We've all probably used them, particularly in India. They are places to move, like airports, often the first building people experience when arriving in a new city. Its evolution from what it was, just a transit hub, to an urban landmark today is phenomenal. The blending of technology, architecture and user experience has taken place, and therefore it has been, the railway stations themselves have become icons of architecture and technology. Not just gateways for travel, but symbols of connectivity, bridges between people and places and their cultures. So today railway station designs are so fantastic that this one designed by Zaha Hadid called the Naples Afragola station seems as if a snake has been laid across the landscape. The stations today are not only just stations as transit hubs, but they are also civic landmarks. They are monuments of public life and identity. They reflect changes in mobility, technology and culture. They are civic landmarks. So if you have the Chhatrapati Shivaji terminus in Mumbai, that is a World Heritage Site. Or if we have the Bell Station in Melbourne, one of the world's most beautiful stations. Or we have the Grand Central Terminal in New York, which is a cultural icon. Or we have one of the latest, the Xiong'an railway station in China, which is a future oriented design. You see all these solar panels mounted on the railway station. All of them civic landmarks in their own right. Now if you look at from history to contemporary how things have changed, we have seen the pictures often in my presentation of the St. Pancras station, making several points through these pictures. Here it shows us a historic station which is monumental and an industrial age icon. On the outside it's got an eclectic facade, an architecture of a mishmash of several styles, but as you enter in you find a tremendous glass and steel vault over the railway tracks, and there it shows the technology aspect of glass and steel being used there. 20th century the shift happened to a more functionalist modernist design like we find here in the Roman Termini station in Italy in 1950. It has got this massive cantilever in front, it's got this kind of design in front and these blocks behind it. So a very functional modernist design in the 20th century. But when we come to the contemporary times, our stations are sustainable, high-tech, user-centric, and generally many of them are fantastic in their forms. This is the Reggio Emilia Mediopadana station in Italy. We will simply call it the Mediopadana station. The legacy of high-tech architecture in transport hubs, where today's ideas came from. First is the structural innovation, and for that the pictures I am showing you actually are not of a station but of an airport. This is the Stansted Airport, designed in 1991 by Norman Foster. So it showed us large span steel and glass roofs pioneered by high-tech architects, but now they are standard features not only in airports but also in railway stations. They are exposed trusses, tension structures, for example concourses. Concourses of airports, concourses of railway stations are big halls made from repetitive steel and glass modules which are flexible, efficient to build and filled with daylight. And if you remember any concourse space like that, you think of natural light flooding into the concourse. The services as design. In the early high-tech, again I am repeating that in Pompidou and Lloyd's the services are exposed and celebrated visually. In the mature high-tech like Commerce Bank, like the Swiss Re or the Gherkin building, the services become integrated smart systems which are celebrated functionally. In the contemporary stations like the Berlin Hoffenbauf or the Utrecht or the Napoli station or the Arfagola, both strands coexist. Both strands of early and mature high-tech coexist. On one hand, there are the visible lifts and bridges that you see inside the building as we saw in the early high-tech. Along with that, there are other visible features like the smart HVAC, the shading, the digital systems. As a part of mature high-tech, it's there but it is invisible. Sustainability roots are there. Early experiments in natural ventilation and double skin facades and building management systems, we find that in, for example, the Swiss Re in 2004. That evolved into today's green stations and terminals with solar roofs, rainwater harvesting and smart BMS. Now when I am relating a corporate building, an office building with a station, please don't feel surprised. This could be many other building typologies also where a similar ideology or similar concept of rainwater harvesting, building management systems or solar roofs etc. is being followed. Here our focus is stations, so we will go back to that, like the Utrecht Central or the Jules Changi. Pictures that you see here are none of these two, they are different. We are showing you the Commerce Bank in Germany, take you back to a building which had triple skin facade and BMS, or to the Xiong'an railway station which has a solar roof. This also had sky gardens. In contemporary principles, the design approach in stations is all about light, transparency and openness. So we look at the Rotterdam Central Station, Netherlands by Team CS, we find this monumental structure with tremendous openness in the concourse of the station. When we come to contemporary principles about stations and focus on technology and smart systems, which is very important for the comfort of the passengers, for the ease of travel, that is smart ticketing, real-time information, digital wayfinding and automation, passenger comfort through tech-driven design. That means even the design of the chairs is tech-driven. So when the passenger or the traveler has to sit for some longer period of time, he continues to remain comfortable. Contemporary principles also has the passenger experience regarding comfort, providing him lounges and shops and accessibility in railway stations. I am not talking about airports, it is in railway stations. Provide human scale interiors in mega structures. Lead to inclusivity, that means that they should have universal design accessible to all who are typical or those who are diverse. Those who are physically challenged get the same opportunity of access, and then there is wayfinding for the user. Contemporary principles also includes sustainability in stations. Now this station that you see here, which is the Utrecht Central Netherlands by Bentham Crowell Architects, what does it have? It has, because of its roof, because of the roof design, it has daylight optimization, rainwater harvesting, energy efficiency through minimizing HVAC load, solar integration and a lightweight design to reduce the use of materials. Thus, daylight harvesting, natural ventilation, green roofs, solar integration and even adaptive reuse of old stations have now become part and parcel of contemporary railway station. Contemporary railway stations are not just transport terminals. Now they have become urban connectors, physically and socially joining different parts of the city, removing barriers created by old railway lines, by bridges, concourses, plazas that allow free pedestrian movement across the track. One such station is the Berlin Hopfenhof. I hope I am able to pronounce it correctly. The Berlin Hopfenhof station connects two formerly divided parts of the city. So when you see the aerial view, it's actually joining two divided parts. It's got these plazas and concourses and bridges that link those parts together and allow people to move from one to the other through the station. So people are not just coming here to travel from point A to point B. It is not just a transit hub, it has become a civic space. Going on further, contemporary principles indicate that an urban integration is taking place into the city fabric through railway stations, because they also have shopping malls, they have offices, even housing, there are public meeting places, not just transport points as I said just now. They are the catalyst for redevelopment to stimulate new life and growth in the areas that they connect. So they not only cause this economic growth and development where they are built, they also provide or transport or lead that economy and resources to the areas which they connect. It's a multi-modal connectivity, hubs where different transportation systems and urban areas converge together. So we have examples of the Rotterdam Central Station in the Netherlands, and we have the very interesting example of a redevelopment in which we have the St. Pancras station and the King's Cross station, two stations close by, are being worked upon so that there will be an entire new development between them. You see this picture of that development happening, and an urban regeneration is taking place of this area. The economic and cultural impact. In the economic and cultural impact that they have, they are catalysts for redevelopment, able to revitalize neighborhoods and attract investment, create civic pride, act as magnets for tourism. They have mixed use hubs with retail and offices. So if we want to look at the economic impact, let's look at the example of the Liège-Guillemins Station in Guillemins Station in Belgium. Sorry, I am not able to clearly pronounce it. Let's call it the Liège Station in Belgium by Santiago Calatrava in 2009. The economic impact, it boosted Liège's regional profile by connecting it to the European high-speed rail network. The cultural impact was that it became the city landmark, attracting visitors and redefining the city's global image. Is it not similar to the Bilbao effect, that one building can make such tremendous socio-economic changes to the city, just as the Guggenheim Museum had done in Bilbao? The global spread of railway stations today, we will call them transit hubs, or we can call them multimodal hubs. These high speed hubs we have in Europe, like in Liège, in Torino, in Napoli. In Asia there are mega terminals like the Beijing South or the Bengsu Grand, or we have other regions where there are sustainable upgrades like the reservoir in Melbourne and the new market in New Zealand. In this map we see the concentration of stations globally, and you will find there are about 4 places with a very dense network of railways. One is the east coast of North America or the United States. The second is very dense, particularly in Europe and even in Britain. It is dense in India. It is very dense in the eastern part of China. It is very dense in Japan. It is a little dense in some parts of Australia, some parts of South America, and some parts of Africa. But if you take as nations, then we would say India, Japan, and most of the countries of Europe, including the United Kingdom, they have a very, very dense transit system through railways, and it is used extensively. So when we look at the case studies whether we look at the Afragola station by Zaha Hadid, we look at the Rotterdam Central Station by Netherlands by Team CS, or the Liège station by Calatrava, the Torino Porta Sousa station by Arep. Each station has a unique design philosophy showcasing global trends and regional responses. Of all the people whose stations are today the popular ones, the iconic ones globally, who have built the maximum number of such stations, the first comes the name of Arep. Arep, for example, have designed this station, the Torino Porta Sousa station. But the second name is that of Santiago Calatrava. He is a Spanish architect, engineer and sculptor. His design is very expressive, organic, skeletal structures, bridges, stations, cultural buildings he has designed worldwide, and in his case structure is or is used as art. Why Calatrava stations are pioneering? Because there is a structural poetry in the transit buildings. He transformed stations from machines for movement into architectural sculptures, like the Lyon Seine Expury, or we can simply call it the Lyon Airport Railway Station, roof like a bird taking flight, symbolizing speed. So the Lyon Airport Railway Station can be compared with the TWA terminal in USA by Eero Saarinen. Many years back, technology has advanced tremendously when he designed this station in 1994, but the idea is there, and this is called as sculptural expressionism. The spatial experience. He made passenger journey monumental. Soaring concourses, dramatic daylight, sculptural canopies like in the Liège station in Belgium. The stations have become cathedrals of travel rather than just infrastructure. There is integration of engineering and architecture in the work of Calatrava. As both engineer and architect, he pushed the boundaries of concrete, steel and glass, and his stations blend structural daring with certain elegance. And he has global influence. Not only that he is designing them, but others have followed him to design stations and even airports. So I don't know how much of that influence came via Calatrava. They were also personally inspired by themselves, but we do find there is a new generation of station designs happening worldwide, especially in the high speed rail era, and many later projects carry the echoes of his dramatic dynamic roof forms like the Naples Afragola station by Zaha Hadid or Beijing T3 airport terminal by Norman Foster. We will come to this later. Now let us come to the Lyon Airport Railway Station by Calatrava 1994. It is a multi-modal hub linking airport and rail, and it is sculptural expressionism. The whole building is like an expressed sculpture. And look at it, this is the station, then there is a connection, then there is the airport. It is a multimodal hub, and that is one important thing that has happened to stations today. They are turning into multimodal hubs, not just for trains alone. Many other activities are combined together in the station. It is conceived as a part of a multimodal hub that integrates airports, highways and high-speed rail, making it the regional connector for France and Europe. This is how the multimodal system is. We have the airports, and then we have the railway station here, and then there are other kind of transport, for example buses, etc., whose provision is also made alongside. I can say this here because we will see that similar kind of concept or design concept in the station in Lisbon by Santiago Calatrava. The station hall is 120 meters tall. The main structural system are 5 steel arches that fan out from a single concrete anchor which is here, and it is on the west side of the building, it is on the west end. The central arch, which is flanked by 2 smaller arches, forms the triangular spine of the station hall. Then there are 3 arches, that terminate at 3 anchors, concrete anchors at the east end. So 1 anchor at the west end and then 3 anchors on the east end. This is how the load transfer is taking place, through the anchor down to the ground, through these anchors down to the ground, and then load transfer is also taking place from the structural members here. These are the drawings of the Lyon Airport railway station, how dramatically the roof has been designed, and all structural elements are exposed as the ornamentation of the building, the play of light and shade through sunlight from large windows constantly changing throughout the day inside the building, constantly changing. These are some of the pictures of this station. Moving on, come to the Oriente Station in Lisbon, again by Calatrava in 1998, a filigree of steel construction, a network of steel members, a whole forest of steel members put together. It is an amazing building built for the Expo 98 as Lisbon's main multi-modal transport, again multi-modal transport system. What all is there in the multimodal system? It's got high speed trains, intercity and suburban rail, it's got the Lisbon Metro station, it's got local and regional buses and long distance coaches, it's got taxis and pedestrian walkways. So if you look at this plan, if you look at the aerial view, this side is where the buses and the cars are parked. This is the actual railway station where the high speed rail comes, and below this is the metro station, and as you go from this side you are going towards the expo. If you are going, so if you look at it from the other side, if you this is the parking area for the buses, etc., the railway station, you go this side, this is the expo area. I hope you get it. The station is in the middle. On one side are the parking for the buses and the cars, etc. On the other side is the expo, and underneath the main station is the metro station. So there are 3 self-contained parts and 2 levels in the station. The 3 parts are, one is the rail terminal, it is a ribbed roof structure that you see. There is an underground metro station below rail lines, and I will correct you here, this underground metro station was not designed by Calatrava. Calatrava designed the whole complex, but this particular metro station was designed by another architect, Sanchez George. The bus terminal and commercial parking areas is the third self-contained distinct functional part. Each part is independent, but it is visually and spatially connected, and that was one of the roles that Calatrava played in putting it all together as one. It is also divided into 2 levels. The upper level has the main concourse, the train platforms and the canopy. The lower level has the metro station, the shops, the circulation zones that finally link you to the buses and the parking. The 4 platforms are there, 1, 2, 3, 4, that serve 8 tracks, and the circulation through escalators or cylindrical glass lifts. So there is a cylindrical glass lift, and there are these escalators that are helping to transport you. All this visibility of these features is a part of the high-tech evolution. The multimodal system. From the Oriente Station, on the one side the bus terminal and the parking areas, and the opposite side, the other side, we go from here to the opposite side, and that leads to the expo grounds. I am sorry, I'll clarify it again. From here if you go towards the expo grounds, here you go towards the bus parking. Again here you're going towards the expo ground. In this case, I am sorry, this is actually the bus parking area. Cantilevered roof has this gate leading to the expo grounds, and over the bus parking space there are these flowing canopies, dynamic in stationery. We see this dynamism in these stationary objects. Then we look at glass and steel roof canopy with branching and tree-like columns. You find that in the railway station. It is inspired by Gothic cathedrals and palm groves. It's like a forest of light. This one, it's 78 meters high and 238 meters long area in steel and glass. The canopy 78 meters wide, 238 meters long and 25 meters high. Transparent roof filters daylight into the concourse, and you see this forest of light here, how similar it is to the palm groves and how it borrows also from the Gothic cathedrals. If we talk of biomimicry, we have seen biomimicry in the works of Antoni Gaudi. The columns that you find in the Sagrada Familia are so close, these columns of Sagrada Familia so close to trees or even the knots in the trees are found here in the columns of Sagrada Familia. It's pure biomimicry by Gaudi. And then when we compare the work of Calatrava with Gaudi, Calatrava is called in a sense the modern Gaudi, because both used biomimicry, both used skeletal forms, but in Gaudi's work it was more about nature and symbolism. He was imagining trees, shells, bones, and even spiritual themes, religious themes. In Calatrava's work, it's more about anatomy and motion. He thinks of spines and wings and ribs and expresses his buildings as dynamic structures. So we have the example of the Milwaukee Art Museum by Calatrava as against Sagrada Familia by Gaudi. These are the interiors of these two buildings. The station of Calatrava also resembles an earlier Alan Lambert Galleria that Calatrava had made in Toronto in 1992. The space inside the station is like a cave-like space which is evolved from a row of cut-out muscle men. Calatrava made these anatomical or kinetic drawings of bones, of bodies, of movement, and then transformed them into an architectural structure. If you look at the passages again, you find similarities in his project. If you look at the one in the Lyon railway station, the one in the Milwaukee Art Museum, or the one in this station, the Oriente Station in Lisbon, there is a similarity in the way he puts together these passages. In the Oriente Station again, these are some of the images, and the Forest of Light is what you see here. Now coming to another architect, another work, we look at the contribution of Norman Foster in the metro station in Bilbao. He integrated architecture and engineering, having a metro system excellent. Norman Foster says the metro system is an excellent demonstration of how built environment can influence the quality of our daily lives. This he said about the metro system. So if we move on, this Bilbao's metro system as a part of Bilbao's urban renewal strategy that also included the design of the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao. He did it in two phases, line 1 and line 2, and then extension of line 2 later in 1997-2004. There is a cavern-like station design which is spacious, bright and safe. There are iconic glass canopies on the outside at street level which were termed as Fosteritos, and they mark the entrances at the street level. They are a symbol of Bilbao's transformation alongside the Guggenheim Museum. The glass Fosteritos in Bilbao, if we compare them with the metro entrance in Paris by Hector Guimard, these are the Fosteritos and this is that by Hector Guimard. Both are iconic entrance structures. Fosteritos are high-tech descendants of Guimard's Art Nouveau gateways, and both are transforming metro station entrances into the architectural emblem of the city. The canopies, natural light is caught by day, illuminated at night, welcoming beacons in the streetscape of the city. These are the various Fosteritos in Bilbao, and one of the stations, metro station line 1, is called the Abando metro station by Norman Foster. It is a cavern-like station design. What is a cavern-like station? Cavern-like station is that the underground space is carved out as a large continuous vault like a cave or a tunnel with a curved concrete walls and ceilings forming a single enclosure. Instead of boxy halls with columns, the walkway over a track that is provided here, that you see here, is to cross. The people can cross from one platform to the other. So in line 1 we have the Abando metro station by Norman Foster. You can see the amount of natural light that floods down into the station from the Fosterito. Now he uses precast concrete shells to express the tunnel's form. Along with that there is a contrast with this light network of steel stairs and mezzanines in the station. This view gives you how exactly the movement takes place in this axonometric. Here this is the Fosterito from where you go down through the escalators down into the station and then you move ahead. If you want to cross the platform, this is the passage and you go on the other side. A typical station showing the direct route from the platform to the street, routes clearly defined, it needs no signage. The need of signage in fact is minimized. When we come to the Serico metro station in Bilbao by Norman Foster, it is not cavern shaped layout, but it is a big single space with big crystal shelter allowing for natural sunlight. The main hall is suspended directly above the railway tracks, and in line 2 there is the Ancio station in Bilbao by Norman Foster, which is box like. It is a cut and cover technique that is used here. The trench is dug from the surface, the station or tunnel is built inside it, and then the trench is covered back. It lies close to the street and daylight floods down on the platform. Therefore, the reason for the box-like opaque design is it serves Bilbao's exhibition center, from which it gets huge event crowds. It's a therefore big rectangular box, so that is wide circulation space and can take in lots of passengers. It is very robust, it's very utilitarian, functional and crowd resistant station form. Then we come to the next metro station design he did in the Canary Wharf underground station in London in 1999. Here it is one of the largest underground stations in the world, 24 meters deep, about 265 to 300 meters long, serves the London's financial district. Only 3 canopies are the visible elements of the station. You find these 3 canopies and they are the visible elements, the 3 entrances, and from these 3 glass canopies natural light floods deep into the station. Of course these pictures are showing you only one, but that is how it is happening with all 3 of them. Now this sectional model actually shows you how the 3 are pulling in light from here and this one also. So there is light in space. Natural light floods deep inside the station via the glass canopies, and a 300-meter long landscape park is above the station, thus turning the entire infrastructure into a public space at the ground level. By concentrating natural light dramatically at these points, orientation is enhanced and it minimizes the need for directional signage. There is cross section shows you about this station, how the station has been put together. There is one entire roof of a station which is a part of a landscape park, and the entire thing, the station is more or less 300 meters long. It is as long as the Canary Wharf tower is tall. The design approach is that it is built using the cut and cover technique with vast cathedral-like underground hall free of all visual clutter, plus there is a high volume of station traffic. This led to the guiding principle in buildings design that they should be durable and it should have ease of maintenance. Therefore, it is first of all a very expansive concourse. The result is it has got a robust aesthetic in a simple palette of hard wearing materials like fair-faced concrete, stainless steel and glass. And this robust aesthetic is most visible at the platform level. The concrete is left exposed, it is raw concrete but it is sleek. There is a high-tech finish with steel and glass and precise detailing. So the overall fit and finish of the station is truly very well done, very well polished. This is the concourse and the concourse roof. The simple materials, but there is complex security and technological innovations embedded in the building. The cabling runs beneath the platforms or behind the walls to allow the station to be maintained entirely from behind the scenes. There is no clutter on the concourse. There are 20 banks of escalators that transport passengers in and out of the station, while administration offices, kiosks and all these amenities are on the one side along the flanks of the ticket hall, leaving the main concourse completely free, the sense of clarity and calm at the concourse level. When we access the train, access to tracks is blocked by platform edge screens which open in alignment with the doors of the trains in order to maintain passenger safety. You must have seen it in many other metro stations today. Thus we have the Canary Wharf underground station. So you would ask me, Professor, there are many more underground stations, what is so special about this? The special about this is how he is able to pour daylight inside the building underground. He takes care of it. He takes care of those elements that make the whole travel experience underground more enjoyable, relaxing for the traveller. In the Westminster Tube Station by London, I want to finish with this example because I was interested to know that Michael Hopkins has also designed a station. Normally I would not associate him with such a project, but I found out this example of Michael Hopkins, who is amongst those series of British high-tech architects. Here we find integration. He redesigned the what is called as the Jubilee line, linked the Jubilee line with the existing district and circle lines, while structurally supporting a building called the Portcullis House above. So the interesting part about this station is how well it took care to preserve the heritage structures above. The structural expression is purely high tech. The engineering elements, the digrids, the braces, the columns are left exposed as a part of the architectural aesthetic, as you see here in these images. But he takes care of the heritage by building it beneath the Big Ben in the Parliament. He uses precise tunneling and soil stabilization to protect those historic structures. That is the key feature of this one station that Michael Hopkins has designed. In conclusion, what have stations given us? From infrastructure, they have now become a civic landmark. Stations are no longer only transit nodes but also symbols of urban identity. There is architectural innovation in them. Instead of just high-tech materials, light-filled vaults and iconic forms are there which transform the experience of the passenger. Integration and connectivity, they act as multimodal hubs. They are not just standalone railway stations, but there are multimodal hubs with metros, buses, retail and public spaces. Cultural and economic impact from Bilbao to London, stations catalyze urban regeneration and revitalize the economies. I gave you the example of the King's Cross and the Pancras station and how the new redevelopment is taking place, revitalizing that part of London, or the main contribution of Berlin Hoffenhof station. Journey as an experience, contemporary design emphasizes comfort, safety and civic pride, making movement or travel by train a joyful experience. Thus, contemporary stations not just transport nodes but a civic place, a convergence of movement, architecture and community. Therefore, they have now once again become very important architectural features or additions to our modern cities. Thank you.